Money comes to me easily, effortlessly, and often. I want you all to write down that affirmation. I want you to say it every day. Money comes to me easily, effortlessly, and often. Why?
Mhm.
Because it does for some people. And are these people that much different than you? Sure. They might be further in their story, further down the path than you. But the only difference in successful people and unsuccessful people is the successful people just did it scared. Actually, at first, it was with fear, and then eventually they became fearless. Money doesn't sleep, doesn't get sick, doesn't take time off, it doesn't retire. So we need to change up our relationship with money.
Yeah.
This is so important. And I want you just to have a more abundant mindset and realize that, number one, it's not greedy to want more money. Number two, money doesn't leave the earth. Number three, it ranks up there with oxygen. And I can tell you this, money gives you options.
One of the clarity questions, which I really love, is what is that net worth goal that you have for yourself and your family 5 years out? And if you haven't thought about that, if you haven't wrote that down, I'm going to challenge you yet again. Let me just be the Russian hammer. Let's talk about it. Because until you write it down and you start to see it, now your brain, it's interesting. There's a journey that happens. As you start to write down affirmations. By the way, let me make a quick recommendation while it's hot on my mind.
Drop it like it's hot.
For those of us that really struggle with scarcity mindset, like for John and I, we really, really struggled. And I remember this one time in our business where it just felt like we were working so hard. We were spinning our wheels.
Chasing the money.
We were chasing the money.
Not
we
attracting
were
it.
Exhausted, right? And it just, everything was scarcity. And the business model, you know, was like a scarcity business model. And my mind was so negative. And that was a time where for 30 days straight, we watched that movie, The Secret. Do you remember that movie, The Secret? We watched it every day, every morning for 30 days because we realized you cannot build an abundant business, a successful business, if your frequency, if your vibration is scarcity. Now, today, I have a better recommendation for you. Like this little tip I got from one of my favorite people that I follow, Chalene Johnson, and she recommended this Audible download. It's called The Prosperity Consciousness. I highly recommend it for those of you that need a good brainwashing to really get sold right on the abundance conversation of money, that money comes to you easily, money comes to you frequently, like that abundance.
And effortlessly.
So I want you to think of like your conscious mind, if we can visualize, is like a flea. Right? And your subconscious mind, which is 99% of your intelligence, is an elephant. So now, doesn't it make sense that whenever sometimes we write goals and our flea is excited, you know, but if our elephant is not on the same page, and for most of us, our elephant was trained into scarcity frequency, scarcity vibration our whole life. And all of a sudden, like we joined this beautiful business. We're working with the leader. We're talking, we're learning from multimillionaires that go do this, do this. But our elephant is still, you know, scarcity. How do we brainwash the elephant? It's called consistency.
And let's also point out that most of us, yours truly included, did not grow up learning about money.
Yeah.
And the way, or the way we learned about it was just, it was all the wrong input.
Yeah.
Just like most of us probably growing up were taught to exchange time for dollars. And when you start to play the money game and you start to look at things differently, right? Assets versus liabilities, scarcity versus abundance. In fact, let's get into the foundation of the money game, because we have some really good notes and we want you to write down this information. We need to switch up the input that you've had downloaded for decades. We need to switch it up a little bit, because if you get to that point where like you're literally making money in your sleep, all of us, I think ultimately we get involved in a business like this because we need money. We're looking for extra money, which is all it should be in the beginning, by the way. First 7 years of network marketing, it was extra money until it was costing us money to go to work every day in our jobs. But eventually your goal, because you're working full-time on your job, part-time on your fortune, eventually your goal is to get to the point where you make more money from your residual, your passive income streams, You make more money from multiple income streams than you do if you get out of bed and go to work every day.
Yeah.
How many of us want to sign up for that conversation?
Yes, we do. All right, let's do it. 3 games of money. All right. Game number one is the income game.
Yeah. You need to 10x your money. Bottom line, your income, meaning your income. It's really hard to build wealth because listen, how many of us ever heard this? The guy, this is when Shaquille O'Neal was a basketball player.
Yes.
And they said at that time he was a very high paid basketball player. They said the guy that pays Shaquille O'Neal is wealthy. Do you see the distinction? Shaquille O'Neal at that time was working for money and he was rich in income, but he was not wealthy. Now he's wealthy because he took the money, the income, and he turned it into wealth. But the guy that was paying him was wealthy. So we have to make more money, not just like 10% increase. That's not exciting. Not just like a 20% little baby increase. We're talking 10x, 20xing your income.
Yeah.
That game has to happen first before you can even participate in the other games.
Yeah. Wealth creation starts with excess income.
Yes.
But here's the key, you guys. And this is where most, and I hate to call out network marketers, right?
Yeah.
But for the majority of our network marketing career, we were around leaders that very much endorse the philosophy of you have to show how much money you make, right? The rich people, they do love to show.
Yeah.
I have to say, for me personally, this is a personal philosophy, POV, point of view from me. We didn't go and start buying luxury items and designer things. I didn't own my first designer bag until we had investments that were bringing in profits. And then those profits started to pay for like our designer stuff.
That's such an important thing. Like, I think it's more important to have the mindset of owning Airbnbs versus Gucci and Louis Vuitton bags.
Yeah.
And if you can't buy it twice, don't buy it at all. With cash.
And most people use credit cards. Most people do all kinds of creative ways to layer on liabilities. Like they put liabilities on the books. Yeah. And you know what's so interesting about when economy does what it does? It's kind of like the tide that pulls back and we now see who is swimming naked. That's such like a beautiful analogy, it's right? Like, so don't get caught. And also it's to be said that we got to skill up right now. We have to like put more tools into our toolbox. And one of those things is systems, duplication. How do we increase your income? And then the second part to that, without increasing your lifestyle.
Right.
Without increasing your lifestyle.
Stop spending everything you're making as if you're going to keep making it forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would even challenge you to do an audit.
Yes.
I would look back through the first couple of months of your credit card statement. Hopefully you have a business credit card. I'm going to go ahead and assume you have an entity set up for your business. Now, if what I'm saying right now, you go, whoa, Nadia, you're losing me already. Let us just jot it down. Another fastest way to make money is to save money in taxes. And the way to do that is to create an entity for your business, an LLC, right? How many of us have heard of LLC? Maybe you are making a multiple 6-figure income going into 7 figures, an S Corp, because the minute that you create an entity for your business, you create some legal protection, right? Yep. Because the more money you start to make, there's a lot of very smart people that want your
dumb money.
Oh no. So
it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep, exactly. How you protect it, how you grow it.
Yes. So having an entity is really important, but then putting all of your business expenses on a business card. So if you have a business card, you have a personal card, however you run your stuff, I would challenge you to audit that. And I would eliminate anything that is costing you time or money. Yeah. Like there was also a time in our business where we canceled all kinds of TV subscriptions. Yeah. My belief is TV keeps poor people passive. Oof. So if we really want to run after this aggressively, we have to kind of balance out our E to E ratio. What is our education versus entertainment ratio. And for most people, they said the average American watches 4 hours of TV. I'm not going to go on a rant.
Well, and also,
people,
most Americans don't read a book after high school. They read no more books, no more learning. It's like, all right, I'm 18, 19 out of high school, or maybe 22 done college. They're like, I'm done learning.
Yeah. And then they go to Starbucks and they go out to restaurants and they go shopping and they do all these things. So,
and this is also why a lot of people are not blessed with more. The reason your business is stuck because you're being wasteful. You can't prosper where you're planted if where you're planted is a place of you have a consumer mentality where I want you to start shifting that energy instead of giving money to these companies and giving money to the Netflix and the Starbucks and all the restaurants. And listen, that's fine to like when we spend a lot of money, we look at it like we're juicing up the economy, right? But at the end of the day, I want you to start thinking differently about how you spend your money. And when you see us, like some people might say, well, you guys spend a lot of money. Yeah, but it's like 10% of what we earn.
Yes.
It's such a small percentage of what we earn. Like if you could lower your expenses and increase your income, that is a shortcut to creating financial freedom. But you also need to get financially educated. You have to have financial literacy.
Yes.
Nobody cares about your money as much as you do. Trust me. And as smart as you think you are about money, and as much as you try to get educated, you're still going to come across situations. We're in a situation right now. Now we're going to be fine. It's all good. Everything's going to work itself out. But we're in a situation right now where we've got some money tied up in some things that, when we look at it, we're like, dang it. It still happens to us. And I love what Mr. Wonderful says.
We learned about the law of diversification.
Yes. In fact, that's probably the most important law is to not put all your eggs. You don't want to have all your income eggs in one basket and all your investment eggs in one basket.
Correct.
For show. Especially when people had all their money in crypto. How they feeling right now? All their money in real estate when real estate dries up, whatever that looks like. But Mr. Wonderful says, when I send my soldiers out into the world, I want them to come back with more soldiers. And then I think he's the one that said, somebody said it like, anytime money leaves your bank account, though, it may never return. And you have to be okay with that also, because sometimes you earn and sometimes
you learn. And John and I
we did a lot of learning.
We've paid multiple 7 figures for our financial learning. So we can share with you guys what not to do, because let's hear this loud and clear. It's last century to learn from your own mistakes. Nowadays you can outsource all the drama and the trouble. Now, so game number 2 is accumulation game. And the fastest way to get there is by saving taxes. So you kind of queued us up for that. So accumulation game is really, really important. So I want you to think about how good are you right now at saving money. Like, let's rate you on a scale of 1 to 10. So if X amount of dollars comes into your bank account, what is the percentage of that money that you don't even see? And I'm telling you guys, there's 3 ways to think about investments. There's 3 buckets of investments that you want to eventually have in place sooner than later. The first one is what we call a boring bucket, right? These are your, investments that are going to be on the safer side.
I like what Eric Worre calls it.
Generate a return.
He calls it stay rich money.
Stay rich money.
Stay rich money.
I like that. So bucket 1 is stay rich money. Bucket number 2 is what we call riskier investment. So this would be stuff like crypto. This would be things like real estate. It requires expertise. You need to know what you're doing. You
have to be okay with losing
there's always a chance that if that whole thing can go bye-bye. Like some of the investments, like we know mindset-wise that, look, if we dedicate this much money, we also have to talk about the risk tolerance and going, okay, if this goes to 0, which there's a high chance it could, are we okay with that? So learning, the bucket 1 is of the utmost importance. And then bucket 3 is your dream bucket. So these are things like toys, right? For guys, cars, boats, planes, designer things. That's bucket number 3. Now, if you don't speak investments at all and you do have savings and you have things like that, I want you to write down this here is you need a fiduciary.
Yes.
Back in the day, back in 2017, 2018, John and I went to Tony Robbins's Business Mastery, and we spent a good portion of that seminar talking about how most of the financial industry, like most of the financial advisors, they're just glorified salespeople. They're not looking out for your best interests. Now, I'm not going to go on like a rant about that, right? But what we do want to make sure that we have is a fiduciary, which means they really help you. Like they take a look at your whole pizza. Imagine you have a pizza, and that pizza should be your estate planning, your tax planning, your insurance needs. Where are you right now? Which season of your business are you in? Potentially, we need to make sure we have entities, right? Like all these scary key words for us as an entrepreneur, we need to understand. When you bring on a fiduciary, which John and I did 5 years ago, and they helped us become really organized and really optimized, and it created that next level of accountability.
Yeah.
Like, how many of us realize until we get accountability, like if you want to lose weight and you set a goal and then you get yourself your best friend that you can go to the gym with and you can keep each other accountable, chances are you're going to get bigger results.
Yeah.
So that's what a fiduciary does for you. And it's a great place to get started with all the things.
And keep in mind, you're the CEO of your business,
Yeah.
of your brand. You want to have that CEO mentality. We talked about this already, but I think it's so important to pay yourself first and look into, Google this or write this down, dollar cost averaging, where every month you set aside X amount that automatically, like it's a payment, that you're automatically putting towards your retirement, and you have a fiduciary or you have someone in place that can manage your money, and they want to grow your account because they get paid a percentage of your account. So they want it to grow. They're not just trading just to make money, because that's a problem with a lot of financial advisors. They make money every time they're buying and selling, where a fiduciary has to, by law, do what's best for their client. And the 2 perks that I love: 1, we can send him other investments. And he will research any investment. Now, again, we need to go back to that rule number 1, game number 1. You have to make more to get to the point where you can have a fiduciary. When you start to make more, you get to play these other games. And I love the fact that not only do we have his advice and he will research an investment and play devil's advocate, but number 2, we can borrow against that money. So it's kind of like infinite banking. So you've probably seen that.
Your own bank.
Yes.
That's right. So I want you to cultivate a vision. You guys, 5 years from now, imagine you have 7 figures just in these stay rich bucket. I really love that, baby.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to surface. So when you like really start to see the vision, like, and then every single day, here's what I found to be true. When you show up to do your business activities, talking to prospects, overcoming objections, don't you already feel like, because you have this gorgeous vision, at the end of the tunnel, you're so fired up to take people on the journey with you.
Yeah, and when you're making more money, it's like you know what to do with the money. See, and I talked about this the other day also, and it's so freaking important.
Yes, please say
People will say, oh, my team isn't motivated. I got a bunch of lazy people. No, they're uninspired. They don't know why they're building this business. They don't understand they're creating generational wealth. They don't really believe they can build this empire and build this passive income and create an MBA, a massive bank account. They don't, because listen, if I told you, hey, run up the street 10 miles, go on a 10-mile walk right now, I'll give you $100. No one would do it. Maybe a couple crazy people, but most people probably wouldn't. I'm not going to go walk for 10 miles. It's cold outside.
I know.
I'm just going to go. It's raining. I'm not going to go. What if I gave you $10,000? All of a sudden, some people are like, man, I might go for that. I might go for that, right? What if I said I'll give you $100,000? How about $1 million? $1 million at the end of that 10-mile run, walk, whatever, hike.
How many of us would bring on a babysitter? Like, you will start to get creative. Exactly.
No excuse. No excuse. You would just get it done.
That's right.
So all of a sudden, you went from being super lazy, like I don't feel like doing a 10-mile walk. I don't feel. All of a sudden, you do it. Once you know what to do with your monies,
Yeah.
you're so excited to make more of it. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, because we love making more. We love making an impact. We love what the money can do and all the, like, it's a whole different world.
Yes.
Once you learn how to make it, protect it, and grow it.
One of the biggest lessons we learned before we graduated into a 7-figure income is God said, look, you will not be blessed with a bigger territory until I could see that you're a really diligent steward of the current one you have.
I love that so much.
And this is why for so many
Powerful.
years, right? Do you remember, like, we would be hustling. And then I can't remember how or why, but reluctantly, thank goodness, I got the message that I need to begin scaling all of my operations, and I needed a bookkeeper. Like for some of us, if you're listening to me, you go, wow, I don't even know where to begin. I would say step one, bring somebody onto your staff, somebody that could help you with bookkeeping. And that did 2 things for me. Number one, it eliminated that stressor, which was once a year. I was so stressed because I was going through receipts and I was doing all these things, and I would turn into a person from hell, God forbid, if John or the kids ran into me when I was doing all my bookkeeping.
We weren't allowed to talk to her for like the whole week.
2 weeks, at least 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But then all year long, how many of you guys, like, there's things right now, whatever comes, the first thing comes to mind, jot that down, please. Because whatever you have that you have to do, it has to get done. It's an important thing. You cannot just not do it. But if it's you and it's not an income producing activity and you're not putting it on somebody else's plate, it then creates this fog in your mind.
Right.
And literally for years, I was suffering like that. Anyways, let me cut to the chase. We bring on our bookkeeper. And literally within that first year, we went from like making a couple of $100,000, a little under $500,000, to going over 7 figures. And let me tell you why. It's because, yes, we would dial in all of the other things in the business, but I felt like it was the final piece for us to get our back end systems in order and to eliminate waste. We talk a lot about that. And also, you guys, think of it like this too. If God right now blessed you with a team that is doing $5 million a month in revenue with leaders and all of that cash, if that happened tomorrow, do you have the bandwidth to support it?
So good.
And if the answer is no, that's why you don't have that income, profits, and revenue yet.
Let's get into that third game.
Yeah. So in the third game is an awesome one, and it's multiplication game. And it's really, really great. Right now, imagine you have so much cash flow that it becomes its own positive problem. And now you have opportunities to, own real estate, and they say, invest in places you love to visit.
Yeah.
Because now every time we go to Destin, as a really good example, we now have properties there. So everything I do, anytime I go to Destin, it's a business expense for me. Like, how fantastic is that?
So awesome.
Imagine if you could start thinking about how can I, take my pre-tax dollars, right? The most expensive dollar is after tax dollar. So what I love to do now is really optimize all of my dollars. But pre-tax dollars, what if we take those and invest them, right? So there's the tax advantage, but also the after-tax dollars. Like, I don't like wasting my after-tax dollars. Those are the most expensive dollars. Like, let me give you an example. So years ago, I opened up business credit cards for different entities. And we put all of our business expenses, let's use one business for our S corporation, on our American Express business card that gives us a ton of points. And then every month we pay it off. but it gives us a lot of points. And now I take those points, you guys, and whenever I want anything for the house.
This is such a good tip.
Like Pottery Barn, I want to do a little redecorating. I want to go shopping to Nordstrom. I log into my American Express portal and I cash in those points for the gift cards for personal expenses that I cannot write off. So I have for anything personal expenses, I do not like using my after-tax dollars.
I get in trouble if I buy things and she's like, baby, we have points for that. You do not need to buy.
I know, indeed.
Same reason we like Southwest. Some people don't like
John
Southwest
flies
right
for
now.
free.
But
John flies for
companion,
free.
yeah, you fly enough, you get to bring someone with you for free, and
Yeah.
free is
So it's the
always
little
better.
things, right? It's
Yeah.
the little things. Like, let's think outside the box. How can we minimize your expenses? How can we, turn the expense that's usually an ordinary expense into a business expense? Like, let's start thinking like that. That's what wealthy people do. They just optimize.
Yep.
And, that's just that. So accumulation game is awesome. I think number one, number two, we really gotta get comfortable with those two, because then once you get into game number three, it's pretty cool, but it's a whole different game.